Stories that time forgot.
Imagine walking into a luxury office, asking for $50 million to save your business, and having the most powerful man in the industry laugh right in your face, never realizing he just signed his own death warrant. The decision not to buy Netflix for $50 million. Dallas, Texas, the year 2000. What you're about to discover in the next few minutes isn't just a corporate miscalculation. It's a chronicle of how the arrogance of a giant-turned empire blinded its leaders to the future already knocking at their door. Stick around until the end, because what you'll learn today will forever change how you view this channel. Revealing that the greatest fraud isn't always a legal scam, but the delusion of being invulnerable while the world shifts beneath your feet. Picture yourself there, September 2000, inside the Renaissance Tower, the tallest, most ostentatious building in Dallas. The Texas heat is stifling outside, but inside, the air conditioning is cranked so high you can almost feel the chill of the metal. You're wearing a simple t-shirt and jeans, feeling completely out of place among executives in Italian suits that cost more than your car. You are Reed Hastings, and you've just chartered a private jet in the middle of the night, spending the last few dollars your company has left. Have you ever wondered what it feels like to offer a diamond for the price of a glass bead and be told it is worthless? The answer lies in the smug grin of John Antioco, the chief executive officer of Blockbuster, watching you from his leather chair. As the scent of expensive coffee fills the boardroom, ambition often clouds the judgment of those who already have it all. Blockbuster was the undisputed king, with 9,000 stores worldwide and revenue exceeding $6 billion. They found their business model to be so profitable, largely fueled by late fees, that they couldn't conceive of a world without storefronts. Every time you proposed a rent-by-mail system with no penalties, they saw a threat to their immediate profits, not an opportunity for evolution. As you investigate those tense moments alongside the Netflix founders, you realize the system was designed to protect the present at the cost of tomorrow. The atmosphere in that glass tower is one of absolute, almost religious confidence. The protagonist of this story, John Antioco, was considered a retail genius, a man who had pulled other major chains back from the brink of bankruptcy. The first act of this financial tragedy ends after hearing the figure. After hearing the $50 million figure, Antioco struggles to hold back a laugh and politely invites you to leave. But what comes next is even darker, because you'll discover that rejection was the very fuel that allowed Netflix to build the algorithm. The algorithm that would eventually devour the entire physical entertainment industry. How would you react if you knew you had the chance to buy it? For the price of a luxury mansion, the company that today is worth over $200 billion. The second act takes us to California. The silence is deafening following the return from Dallas. The pressure is immense. The dot-com bubble has just burst and nobody wants to invest in a company that mails discs and loses money every month. They start noticing investors slamming doors in their faces while Blockbuster continues opening stores, with brand new blue carpets and shelves packed with the latest video releases. The sensory atmosphere becomes one of desperate resilience. It's the contrast between the neon glow of Blockbuster and the flickering fluorescent lights in the tiny office of entrepreneurs who refuse to die. At this point in the story, the suspense is absolute. Blockbuster's leadership discovers too late that the real product wasn't the piece of plastic, but user convenience. The paradox is that they had the resources, the brand, and the customers, but they lacked the vision to understand the data. This technique of ignoring market signals while clinging to an obsolete model is the same one we'll see in our next episode, when we analyze the Ponzi scheme that lasted 60 years, proving that denying reality is the first step toward a financial abyss. The third act is the moment of the dramatic plot twist. Barely 4 years after that meeting, Netflix begins to grow exponentially, thanks to its monthly subscription model. The sound of the mailman dropping red envelopes into mailboxes becomes the war drum announcing the end. The day after Netflix launched its streaming service, Blockbuster's stock began to bleed. Panic grips the board in Dallas. They tried to react by launching their own online service, but they do it late, poorly, and by burning through massive sums of money. Money they no longer have. The International Financial Messaging System records how major investment funds jump off the Blue Giant's ship to bet on the small streaming insurgent. However, the end of this story carries an ironic flavor for the history of commerce. Although Blockbuster tried to buy Netflix again years later, the response was a thundering silence. In 2010, the company filed for bankruptcy. The company that laughed at $50 million had to close thousands of locations and leave 25,000 people jobless. Today, only one store remains open in the entire world in a small town in Oregon, a living museum of what happens when pride blinds you. They managed to prove that it doesn't matter how big your castle is if you don't realize. The ground it is built on is turning into water. Before we wrap up, I have to tell you that the next case we'll unearth is equally shocking. The Ponzi scheme that lasted 60 years. We'll see how one man managed to deceive the world's smartest investors using the oldest trick in the book, elevated to a level of sophistication. You can miss it if you want to understand how the desire for easy money can blind even the experts. Now that you know the story, do you think it was just a lack of technological vision? Or was it the greed of not wanting to give up those late fees? Give me your take in the comments, because your perspective is essential to completing this historical puzzle. Subscribe so the system notifies you when we unearth the next piece of the puzzle in stories time forgot. Your support allows us to keep investigating these truths. Truths that those in power tried to erase forever. See you in the next section of our Library of Secrets. Are you interested in knowing more? I recommend checking out the full story of Blockbuster's downfall to see the disaster from the other side of the counter. It would be great if you let me know which other vanished company you'd like us to investigate next.